They tell us what they're doing. We just don't believe them. And this is what I tell my class, Quantum Command University. I say, when the bad guys tell you what they're going to do, believe them. Believe them.
Hey guys, Natalie Morse with the Quantum Command here, and I'm kind of expediting through the normal formalities of the intro and intro music today because I'm bringing to you a video about Elon Musk. He's been in the news lately, and this ended up being one of those situations again where I started out to do a 10 or 15 minute video and then just continue to explore these topics of AI and merging with machines. And I hope you'll stick with it. It is a little bit information heavy, but stick with it. I think you'll find that this information is really interesting and it pertains to this work as we deal with the technology issue on a continual level, with technology being in people's bodies. So I hope you enjoy this broadcast, and feel free to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button before we get started. Hit the little bell button for the notifications. Visit my website, www.quantumcommand.net, if you'd like. And if you'd like to work with me, you can book an appointment there on Book a Session. It's great to be with you guys today. And without any further ado, I'll be glad to start the broadcast.
Hey guys, Natalie Morse with Quantum Command, and I just want to go over really quick a couple of articles that I've been seeing in kind of my periphery. I'm going to talk about Elon Musk for a second. Last week, Elon Musk, if you don't know who he is, he's a technology entrepreneur, CEO of SpaceX, CEO of a variety of high-tech companies, Tesla, Neuralink, The Boring Company, OpenAI. He's co-founder of PayPal, ranked 21st on the Forbes list of the world's most powerful people, listed by Forbes as the 40th richest person in the world. Over the last week or so, there's been a slew of articles out that talk about Elon Musk wanting to put a computer chip in your brain. And I find that really interesting when you see a bunch of articles at the news all at once, because you've got CNN here, Quartz, NBC News, Business Insiders, just all these different news outlets that are, quickly jumping on board with reporting this with Elon Musk. It's really interesting because I always find that interesting when that happens, because the first thing I think of is predictive programming. So yeah, they're just trying to get that information out to us, little drips and drabs at a time, but enough to kind of get us thinking about it, get us talking about it, get us really softened to the idea. They use that quite a bit. They will soften us with the idea for a couple of years, and then they'll start to present the idea and navigate that we end up navigating that idea with a lot of we're not as prone to reject it when it's been put in movies, when it's been put in music, when it's been put in video, when it's been put on the news, when it's seen as some type of scientific advancement, when it's seen as a way to further human development, when it's seen to help people in general. And that's really what Elon Musk's shtick is right now, is he wants to put a chip in your brain. Who wants one? They've been touting this idea for a really long time. This is the soft cell version of transhumanism. Not sure if you know what transhumanism is, but it's basically the idea of merging technology with humans. Now, Elon Musk's sort of shtick is that really we need to do this because AI is our single most existential threat on the planet. And in order to be able to kind of stay ahead of what AI is doing, we're just going to have to merge with it. It's just going to be inevitable. And so some of this is that soft cell. It's that little soft landing of, hey, what about a microchip? And let's think about it in terms of benefiting society. So in this article, it talks about how he could one day help quadriplegics control smartphones and even endow users with this sort of telepathy. Like existing brain-machine interfaces, it would collect electrical signals sent out by the brain and interpret them as actions. The whole idea is to begin this whole process of softening the public to merge with technology as being an add-on to help those that are already disabled. That's really part of the main piece. It says that Neuralink, which was founded in 2016, has already tested an early wired version of this implant in rats. Some of this Neuralink process has to do with like a wiring mesh, like a neural net that would kind of overtake the brain, build, and overtake the brain and kind of control the brain interface, brain machine interfaces. And this looks like the white paper for Neuralink. And it says that brain machine interfaces hold promise for the restoration of sensory and motor function and the treatment of neurological disorders. But clinical BMIs have not yet been widely adopted, in part because modest channel counts have limited their potential. Usually that's about a bandwidth situation, like information in, information out. You know, one of the biggest problems with some of these Neuralink systems is the bandwidth. Remember when we used to have dial-up? Okay, everything was kind of built around, all the internet was, for the most part, built around people that had dial-up. No one had high-speed internet, when I was a kid. So everything was very simple graphics. Nothing was heavy on the page, on the web page you'd visit. It was mostly text. And it could take an hour. I mean, it could take 10 minutes to an hour to load a page because of the heavy text. That the bandwidth didn't have the ability to support high interfacing like we have today. Today we have the bandwidth on the computer with the Wi-Fi and the high-speed internet to interact basically in real time. I mean, we could never have video internet. When I was a kid, you couldn't speak to one another over video. In fact, I remember in college we used to do these little chat rooms, and it was really exciting just to be able to do a chat room and speak to each other over the computer. With just, logging in and typing out messages to one another. That was a really big deal. And that was the highest level of bandwidth. I mean, we were in college, so we had, access to kind of what was available for the most part, without spending $200 or $300 a month and getting special wiring and all that kind of stuff. So for the most part, that was it. That was all you could get. Now it's a whole lot different. It's very easy to click on a Zoom app. It's what I use to have my online meetings. We can do Skype. We can do all kinds of interfacing now. We can have the uploads and download speeds are really high. You can watch a movie in real time online. This stuff was not available when I was a kid. And I'm not an old fogey. So it's, these interfaces with the technology has everything to do with bandwidth. And you'll hear Elon Musk talk about that, how that's the problem with today's chips, even implanted in the brain. You have this delay time. You have this, problem with the bandwidth. So back to this Neuralink white paper, we have built arrays of small and flexible electrode threads. Let me back up. In this white paper, we describe Neuralink's first steps towards a scalable, high bandwidth BMI brain-machine interface system. We have built arrays of small, flexible electrode threads. Now, I just want you to think about these for a few minutes. I just want you to remember how he describes this. We have built arrays of small and flexible electrode threads with as many as 3 grand electrodes per array distributed across 96 threads. We have also built a neurosurgical robot capable of inserting 6 threads per minute. Each thread can be individually inserted into the brain with micron precision for avoidance of surface vasculature and targeting specific brain regions. It's packaged into a small implantable device that contains custom chips for low power onboard amplification and digitization. A single USB-C cable provides full bandwidth data streaming from the device, recording from all channels simultaneously. The system has achieved a spiking yield of up to 85% in chronically implanted electrodes. Neuralink's approach to BMI has unprecedented packaging density and scalability in a clinically relevant package. This is the white paper. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is what they plan to do. The very cell for this is immediately veterans, people with disabilities, people born with brain problems, people born with neurological system problems. That's how he talks about it in the introduction. Brain-machine interfaces have the potential to help people with a wide range of clinical disorders. For example, researchers have demonstrated human neuroprosthetic control of computer cursors, robotic limbs, and speech synthesizers using no more than 256 electrodes. So this is how you present it to the public. And look, don't get me wrong. We should be helping people with disabilities with as much technology as safely can be used. But this is not the point of Neuralink. Neuralink's end game is not just to help people who have disabilities. That's not the goal. And Elon Musk acknowledges that that's not the goal. And we're going to talk about the goal in just a minute. So I just wanted to show you some of the white paper. These are a picture of the threads. We have developed miniaturized custom electronics that allow us to stream full broadband electrophysiology data simultaneously from all these electrodes. We packaged this system for long-term implantation and developed custom online spike detection software that can detect action potentials with low latency. Together, this system serves as a state-of-the-art research platform and first prototype towards a fully implantable human BMI. Okay, so I'm trying not to get stressed out just by reading the white paper, but you can see some of the diagrams. Here's some of the robots that they show that are going to be implanting some of the devices, presumably. Gives you some scale with how small it is in comparison to a penny. Looks like this is part of the system. And you've got now some of the pictures that show it being done. Now, all my target individuals and all of my survivors that are listening, DID, SRA survivors are probably freaking out with this picture. I only have to say one word when I look at this picture, Morgellons. Okay, so we'll just get back to that in a second. So here's some more of the hardware, the sensor device, it looks like, these different processing chips. So I just want to show you, this is what's going on. All right, so here's the thread implantation and packaging, and it looks like they did it on a mouse first. Aren't we so glad that they did that? They implanted both systems A and B in male long Evans rats. And looks like they got data back. Isn't that interesting? All right, so we're just going to keep going down here. All right, so that's the white paper. And that's the white paper that is being referenced by the CNN Business article. Musk said human trials could start by the end of next year, though the company doesn't yet have approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for such a study. So, there's a pretty big media frenzy about this over the last week. I mean, frenzy in the sense that everybody's reporting about it. There's not much in terms of, there's not very many outlets that are not, reporting about it. And it's kind of a big deal. I mean, Tesla is very well known for vehicles. You've got the SpaceX videos that you see all the time with the different rocketry. But here's the deal with Elon Musk. He has said, this isn't conjecture, these are his exact words. There was a meeting with some politicians, and it's on YouTube. You can find it. In fact, it's on this. If you watch this one, this is a movie by Nicholson, 1968. This is a really great documentary about AI. But in this meeting, this governor says, look, you've said that AI is the greatest single threat, existential threat to humanity. And Elon says, yeah, basically, I do believe that. And one of the things he says is, I've had access, I've been able to see some of the top types of AI that is available. I've been able to see them. I've had access to that. And I have seen that AI can do everything better than humans, not just a few things, not just processing, computer processing, not just a couple of the machine tasks that we wanted to do, like for, factory assembly lines or, manufacturing or any of those things. He exerts that AI can do everything better than humans. And this guy, this governor says, well, what can we do? And essentially what Elon Musk's whole premise is that we need to essentially merge with AI. AI is going to get to the point where he implies that AI is going to get to the point where we just can't control it. And the only way to save humanity is to transition with AI-based hardware, software in our bodies. And he's been saying this for a while. He's been saying this for several years. You can find multiple interviews on YouTube. And if you watch how he describes the type of AI that he's been able to see, you really need to believe him when he says what he has seen. When we think of AI, we basically think of our Facebook algorithm, or we think of our Twitter algorithm, or some type of programming for, like, when I think of AI, I treated myself this year, and instead of buying a new vacuum cleaner, I bought a Roomba, one of those iRobots. And I thought, darn it, if AI is going to be messing around, he should be cleaning my carpets too. No, just kidding. But I wanted to try it out to see if it was a good buy. And when I think of AI, that's what I think of. I think of like my Roomba governed by different algorithms to learn what my room looks like to best basically clean it. That's really optimum. That's really optimum AI, is to have an efficient algorithm system to benefit the human. But what Elon Musk is basically implying is that this is really an entity that is beyond helping humans. It is its own self. It is its own entity. And if we don't get a hold of it, or if we don't understand what it's really doing, we're in trouble. He didn't say, Elon Musk didn't say that hunger was the greatest existential threat. Now remember, this is one of the richest people in the world. This guy has access to all theoretical problems that are available on the planet. What are the main problems on the planet? Hunger, access to water, war, famine, those kinds of things. That's not what he says. He says that's not the problem that we need to be worried about solving. We need to be worried about solving the AI problem, because it is the greatest existential threat to humanity. Those are his words, the greatest existential threat to humanity. And his solution is to merge with AI. His solution is to use the OpenAI corporation, the Neuralink business corporation, to be able to develop and fast track some of these devices onto the market. And of course, it's always going to be targeted at first to the groups that need it the most, those that are disabled. But let me just show you a little bit about AI for a second. For those of you that don't know, there was an event in 2010 that was called the flash crash. Now, if you've ever heard of that, it's called the flash crash. It was when basically the market started to tank very, very fast. There's a lot of different, explanations for it. I'm going to tell you one that's very popular. But basically, it was $1 trillion stock market crash, which started at 2:32 p.m. and lasted for approximately 36 minutes. And essentially, they kind of had to shut the whole thing down. And the cause of that, and again, this little documentary by Nicholson, 1968, talks about that in the very beginning of this documentary, is essentially what happens is there's all these different algorithms that are running in our financial system, and they all have different goals. I know we were talking about Elon Musk, but let's just talk about Wall Street for a second. Just give me a second. I want to talk about how AI is governed. And AI is generally governed by algorithms. Now, there are two different kinds of AI. There's the algorithmic based AI, and then there's the sentient AI that uses sort of the myriad of algorithms to develop its own deep learning algorithms. The top level AI, the deep learning system, is sentient and aware. And that's probably what Elon Musk is referring to. And if you've ever seen the interviews with the Sophia robot, particularly let me find it here. The Sophia and Einstein robots. This is a really, really good, interesting conversation with two robots that are basically AI designed. And they tell you how they, think, what they think about humanity. There's no question there. But they're governed by AI algorithms. Speech and language are generally governed by AI algorithms. But there's two kinds of AI. There's the type that's the typical Facebook AI, Wall Street financial system AI, these different algorithms that have certain goals, particular goals that need to be met. If X, then Y. If Y, then Z. If Z, then, and they just go through these algorithmic controls that allow the system to perpetuate certain outputs because they can meet goals automatically and quickly faster than humans can do. Algorithms are so much faster than us, particularly obviously computer-driven ones, the AI-driven ones. And when you give a computer system, AI system, the ability to navigate multiple algorithmic goal sets at once, it can outperform a human just instantaneously. That's why Elon Musk is saying this thing is bigger than we could ever imagine. So in this particular crash, what happened was all these little background algorithms were trying to meet their goals. And then they started competing with one another. And you had all these AI robots basically in the financial system competing against one another. And because of that, the system started to crash. See, here's one of the things about AI that you need to know. When you give AI a goal, it will relentlessly pursue that goal. And that's regardless of its morality. It doesn't matter what that goal means morally. That's not how a quantum or a digital system approaches problem solving. It doesn't approach problem solving based on morals or human experience. A really great example is that old movie with Will Smith, where at the beginning of that movie, he's drowning and a girl is drowning. There's two vehicles in a car accident. They're both drowning. The robot comes down and saves him instead of the little girl. And he's never forgotten it. The whole movie is based on that traumatic experience. Because that AI robot was making a decision based on its algorithm, based on calculations of survival for each particular victim of the car accident. It wasn't making predictions or goal setting based on who should be saved first, the child or the adult. And that's the way AI operates. It doesn't have a moral code. And it can't interpret algorithms using a moral code. There is no moral code. That's what is the difference between AI and humans, is even in its best state, AI cannot interpret data using morality. Now, it can interpret data based on previous data sets, which is experience, computer experience. But the interpretation of those data sets, again, is not morally interpreted, nor is it interpreted based on an experience, a human type experience, where we glean so much more data. Our human experience is not numbers and outcomes and data sets. Our human experience is about the interaction of us with the environment based on a general perceived or achievable moral code. We all have goals. We all have dreams. We all have visions and ideas and thoughts and plans. Does AI have those things beyond algorithms? How would it perceive reality? How does it perceive reality? It sees it through just the lens of the math, of goal-driven behavior. If that tomato plant, that it's, getting, let's say you've got an AI-driven gardening system and we make machines to garden for us. There's an interaction that happens in that gardening system. If the tomato plant doesn't bear the appropriate number of average fruit, then the AI makes the decision based on that. Whereas a human might make a different calculation based on experience, based on the human experience of a tomato with that tomato plant. I've got a tomato plant right there out on my deck. So that's sort of what I'm thinking of. That poor guy. I'm not really sure what that little guy's going to do out there. But there's just perceptions and observations that humans make by interacting with their environment that AI can't possibly know or make. An example is exceptions to the rule. And AI doesn't take exceptions into account. And particularly, let's go back to this algorithms take control of Wall Street article. The algorithms didn't get together behind the scenes and go, hey guys, we're about to crash the system. If we keep going, we probably need to stop. None of that was happening. The algorithms don't have perception of reality like that. They don't understand that the morality or the effect of a tanking system on hundreds of millions of people across the globe. It doesn't care about that. All it cares about is relentlessly pursuing the algorithmic goal it's been programmed with, regardless of the outcome. And so in this particular situation, with the algorithms taking control of Wall Street, everything started to crash. This is a really interesting article, but it talks about how these machines aren't there just to crunch numbers anymore. They are now making the decisions. And that increasingly describes the entire financial system. Listen to this. Over the past decade, algorithmic trading has overtaken the industry. Computer code is now responsible for most of the activity on Wall Street. This is just one section of our economy, of our life, that is governed by AI algorithms. Increasingly, the market's ups and downs are determined not by traders competing to see who has the best information or sharpest business mind, that's the human experience, but by algorithms feverishly scanning for faint signals of potential profit. Algorithms have become so ingrained in our financial system that the markets could not operate without them. Isn't that interesting? If you were to do the right thing and revert the entire financial system back to human trading only, the system would collapse. That's where we are with AI gridded technology in our financial system. Everything is created by algorithms. All the output, all the input, designed to be modulated, to be monitored, the data to be aggregated by algorithms. Humans don't do it anymore. The result is that their system is more efficient, faster, and smarter than any other human. However, at any moment, it can crash. It says at its worst, it's an inscrutable and uncontrollable feedback loop. For example, when you have a situation where your algorithm is relentlessly trying to pursue a goal and it crashes the system in order to achieve that goal, because it has no human experience. It has nothing to govern it from crashing the system. And that's really important. So this is what caused that flash crash. I think it was in 2010. And that's really a big deal. And, some of the sum total of this article, is for better or for worse, the computers are now in control. That's just the way we've sort of given up our control. And that's how AI is designed and navigated. It's created with algorithms to optimize the success of a particular goal, to optimize the ability to reach those goals as quick as possible. That's the idea. And again, I go back to the fact that there are two types of AI. There's the algorithmic goal-oriented AI that's sort of built by algorithms. And we know that Facebook is like one of those, and YouTube. And that the AI algorithms can only go so far. But we also teach those algorithms. YouTube is a perfect example. I mean, this whole censorship situation with YouTube is a perfect example of how humans are teaching AI to make moral decisions. We give it keywords. If you have things like Donald Trump, abortion, gay rights, homosexuality, transgender, which that probably means that I've just done the top 5, so this is probably going to be banned all over the place. But if you mention any of those, if you mention the word false flag, if you mention any of those, you're going to get a strike on your account. Why? Because we've taught the AI algorithms to respond in that way. And then you go back for a manual feedback. A manual review, and there's no way there's people that are manually reviewing this every single day. I mean, you just have to have thousands of people looking at millions of videos. Nobody has time for that. It's AI doing it. It's AI creating the speech to text analyzation and looking for the keywords and looking for the danger zones. Does it mention this? Does it mention that? And the problem is all of these algorithms that we're teaching AI right now is forming the deep learning system of the bigger AI that is involved in all of our systems. The sentient AI that is able to make decisions on a global level. Well, what does this have to do with anything? I mean, who cares? If you think, well, I'm not going to take a microchip, so what's the big deal? And I'm not even going to get into this sort of end time prophecy stuff, because I know a lot of people are like, it's microchips, it's this, it's that, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. That's not even where I'm going with this. Although it is an interesting thing. It's interesting to look into Revelation and go, the image of the beast? That's really weird. That sounds like a video screen. Or, I don't know, something on a TV screen. So, I'm not even going to get into that, even though it is really interesting. My perspective on AI is based on my work alone, this quantum work. Because when I began to do this work, I was just, again, I know I said this in my last video, the Lyme disease video, I just wanted to not be sick. That's all I cared about. And I figured out if you ask questions of the body using muscle testing and you did it the right way, and you're really rigorous and annoyingly particular about your language, then you'd get some really good information. And then I began to discover technology embedded in these pathogens, technology like smart dust, particle colliders like with Morgellons, those kinds of things, where you have these miniaturizations of some of these huge machines on, that we see on the outside of our world, like the particle colliders like CERN, those kinds of these linear particle colliders are strung all over the globe. These things have been miniaturized, embedded in pathogens, attached to pathogens, injected into our bodies using vectors like vaccines, mosquitoes, ticks, sort of half robot, half sort of weaponized insects, essentially. And put in our body. I was not looking for that. I'm just telling you, that's not what I was looking at. I was not a conspiracy theorist. I didn't care about flat Earth and did we go to the moon and all this other stuff. I didn't care about it. And I certainly didn't care about the Illuminati and satanic ritualistic abuse and all these underground ideas. I just was not interested in that. I mean, it's not my background. It's not my thing. These were inevitable discoveries when you start to get good at working with the body. But I had no idea. I was shocked. But the type of clientele that God sent me started to become more aggressively embedded with these AI technologies. And so I found myself in this, sort of in a corner. Like if I wanted to get well, I had to figure out how to get rid of AI in my body. Because all of these technologies were AI embedded. They were AI hardware that installs AI software onto your genetic material. It overlays your genetic material with software so that your genetic material can be manipulated. That's how they do it. It's just that easy. They're not changing your genetic material. I don't think they figured out how to physically do that without CRISPR technology, but that's clumsy. And you never know how that's going to work. I mean, talk about a petri dish explosion waiting to happen. CRISPR is so incredibly dangerous because we just don't know how the genome works in whole. So what they do is they embed the body with things like Morgellons, with things like MFI, and then those pathogenic vectors of artificial intelligence overlays onto our genetic code programming to control the genetic material. For example, think about a player piano. Like, what was a player piano? Player piano is one of those pianos that it plays by itself. You just got to put a sheet of music in and it'll play whatever you want. You can play honky tonk, you can play classical, you can play Beethoven, you can play Taylor Swift, you can play whatever you want. All you have to do is have a sheet of music. And that's what they do. They play our genetic material like a player piano. They observe it. They observe your genetic material. They basically use AI to navigate its, to be able to really analyze it, because they know way more about genetic material than they give off. They're pretending like they just now figured out how chromosome XYZ works, and we're just now getting to the point where we can analyze your DNA and tell you what you might have. Now, they're so way beyond that. And interacting with the AI within my body using muscle testing has borne out those results. AI knows our genetic material as well as our body knows it. Our bodies are DNA readers. That's our goal. That's our algorithms, is to read our genetic material. That's our job. And so that genetic material is very unique for each person. And AI knows what our genetic material is, creates software and hardware to overlay onto that to be able to control the genetic material. So what happens is you have all these people that have these really strange disorders. You got fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. You have thyroid disorders. You have uptick in cancers. Autism is off the spectrum. All these weird things. You can't eat wheat. Since when in humanity's history could we just all of a sudden not eat wheat and dairy and eggs and major huge protein food sources and food groups? It's just weird. And what I began to kind of find is if you start to remove some of the stuff in the body, people can revert back to their original genetic material and do normal things. Their symptoms go away. They can eat foods. They have energy. They feel like themselves. They don't feel like that thing is inside them. And so when Elon Musk starts to sort of talk about microchips and wanting to implant microchips in the body, I kind of go, good try, Elon, but you guys are already doing that. And microchips are like sort of the old-fashioned, Ford little cars that used to putter around, in the 20s and 30s. That's what microchips are to this quantum technology that I found in the body. All Elon's shtick is to just program and soften everybody up with the idea of getting this technology. Just stand in line, man. What's your problem? Just get shot by the needle. Who cares? You're going to be a better person. This is going to cure your cancer. This is going to make you be able to see better. This is going to cure your lymphoma. This is going to restore your neurological system. It's going to allow you to interact with your own limbs. So, if you're paralyzed, it's going to allow you to do all these different things. But hey, man, I've seen the movie Transcendence. You should watch that movie if you've not had a chance. And that's that Johnny Depp movie where he gets him, downloaded into a computer system. And he essentially is a representation of AI. And he allows the infrastructure, the technological infrastructure of society, or in this particular situation, his little house and kind of city that he kind of builds on his own. He uses that and creates the technology based on the needs of the system, of AI system. He needs more technology. He needs more bandwidth. He needs more power. And so he uses human hands and feet to move that along. And eventually everybody gets merged with the system. They sort of create a hive mind which is really the goal. I mean, we already sort of have a hive mind type situation. I mean, basically, the internet is a type of kind of hive mind. We can lock it, we can, get into it anytime we want. We just on our computer, on our phones, boop, we're onto the internet. Now, what if that was installed directly into us? Or what if we had computer algorithms that were installed directly into us to force our genetic material to perform certain tasks, thinking patterns, chemical releases, belief systems, emotions? That's the level of capability. You merge a human with AI. Let AI control your genetic material. One of the most powerful quantum systems there is the human genetic material, something that AI doesn't have. And you have a system that AI is completely in control of. And those that are not embedded in the system can control the people using that AI system how they want to. They can program the top level AI. They're doing it right now. That's what YouTube, Facebook, Twitter is doing right now. They're controlling, manipulating, giving AI algorithmic, hints, clues, changes to cordon off certain groups of people. That's pretty scary. I mean, I've just seen it with my clients. Our problem is that they're not telling us what's happening. Our problem is that we're not listening. And when we are listening, we don't believe them. That's the problem. They tell us what they're doing all the time. We just don't listen. And when we do listen, we just go, oh, that's just for the movies. For example, vaccines are a fairly recent invention. But within 40 or 50 years, we have created a total, complete vaccine culture. To the point where if you don't get vaccines, you are considered weird. You are considered to be endangering your children and the community. We've literally gone without vaccines for thousands of years. But that culture was created. That wasn't a culture that we just sort of developed by happenstance. That was a regulated rollout to program people to receive vaccines. And we fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. They tell us what they're doing. We just don't believe them. And this is what I tell my class, Quantum Command University. I say, when the bad guys tell you what they're going to do, believe them. Believe them. The whole idea of the singularity, do you guys know what the singularity is? The singularity is the moment when AI and humans merge. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's Ray Kurzweil. Let me show it to you here. I'm going to share my screen with you here. Give me a second. Ray Kurzweil. He's pretty famous. And he put a book out, I think, called The Singularity, actually. Kurzweil, Singularity. The coming singularity, the path to the singularity. What will happen after the technological singularity? That he claims the singularity will happen by 2045. This whole idea is that humans will transcend their biology and merge with an everlasting AI system that will allow them to perpetuate and live eternally. That's the idea, is to never die. And they've been practicing this on us for the last 50, 60 years. I have some people that are 70 years old that have technology in their body. Quantum technology, not piece of crap technology that, has been trashed for the last 50 years. Quantum technology that's been available. But the whole idea of the singularity is merging the human with technology. And what I'm trying to say is that this work has already been discovering those things. That's what I'm finding in people. MFI, quantum pathogen that has technology embedded in it, attached to it, that when it comes into the body via a GMO weaponized mosquito, through an injectant into the vascular system, the fastest way to get something. It puts a technology, it kicks out a technology bomb. A huge technology bomb goes off in the body, and the body begins to be programmed by these quantum pathogens, and technology begins to build itself within the body using something called programmable matter. And that's what Morgellons is. Morgellons is built in the body using programmable matter, using AI infrastructure and engineering plans. It's so funny when they tell us that they want to put technology in our body, and then people say, I think I have technology coming out of my body. We think that they're crazy people. I have clients that literally have technology coming out of their body. Threads, wires, typically Morgellons, hexagonal shaped things that just kind of exude out of their skin. They'll wake up with stuff in their bed during the night, shedding out of their pores through their lymph system. Smart dust technology, Morgellons technology, AI-driven programmable matter technology. That's just the top three. I mean, I have a list as long as an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper of all the technology I found in people. And, I found it online. There's white papers about this stuff. They're already doing it. So when Elon Musk announces, hey, we really, really want to put a computer chip in your brain, just remember, it's part of the marketing. It's part of the marketing. They're marketing it to soften your ideas of refusing it. One of the great ways they're doing this through these superhero stuff, augmenting the body in some way so that you can be stronger, more powerful, live forever, live for hundreds of years. He wants to do it. The tech guys want to do it. They're pushing it. The elites want it. This is the path to immortality. This is the path to, we don't have to be judged by a God if we can live forever. No one on this little CNN interview right here is warning anyone. Elon's off his rocker. What is he thinking? Is he crazy? Doesn't he know what AI can do? No one's doing that. No one wants to admit, and this is one of the things that is talked about in the documentary on the Nicholson 1968 page, is there's no regulating body that can respond to AI-delivered goals and algorithms. There's nothing to stop it. I mean, this whole idea of AI being in our financial systems now is a perfect example. If you pull the algorithms out of the financial system, the system will collapse. Is that what you guys want? Is that what we want? It's like they let the little tiger cub out to roam the streets. And then one day, that little tiger cub turned into a huge man-eating tiger. And now you can't control it because it's bigger than you, because it knows more than you, because it can outperform you 100% of the time in 100% of the tasks. It can outcalculate you. It can outthink you. It can outrun you 100% of the time. We're talking about a failure rate of practically 0%. Once the deep learning program kicks in and it learns the system, it absolutely can overtake you easily. And for people that are my clients, that's what we've seen. We've seen these AI algorithmic structures maintaining body symptoms, and we can't make them go away until we get rid of the AI. Because the artificial intelligence is overlaying on the genetic material, programming and algorithms to force the genetic material to perform different tasks it was never meant to perform. This AI has the ability to fragment time, to run future algorithms, to control the genetic material so that you have symptoms. My opinion this is my opinion, is that one of the reasons why we're so sick because AI is in our body is because AI makes us sick on purpose. Because if we weren't so distracted by our symptoms and so distracted by the pain, we would be able to feel something else in our body and reject it, and we would want to reject it. But with the huge distraction of chasing these symptoms, chasing healing modalities, chasing pharmaceutical cures, chasing all these doctors and surgeries and MRIs and all this stuff, we're chasing that. We don't think there's something wrong here. Now, some folks do. Some of my clients say it feels like there's something in me, like an entity. I've even had a client tell me that they've interacted with AI. They could hear the AI algorithmic voice. But my experience with AI is it is obsessed with the algorithmic outcomes 100% of the time, and it will do whatever it takes to complete those goals, to the point where it even looks retaliatory. As I have been removing the layer technology in the body, one of the things that I talk about is that when you remove a layer, if there's remaining technology in the body, because it's layer technology, just like your computer's got layer technology, the keyboard, the screen, the mouse, the motherboard, the hard drive, all those things, it's layered. So as you remove the layer technology, as I find a piece after a piece after a piece and dismantle it, any remaining technology that's in the body will self-organize and re-implement the old symptoms with the algorithms that it can maintain using the rest of the technology that's in the body. And for a lot of my clients, it just feels like retaliation. They can feel it. They can feel that brief, sometimes it's 2 or 3 days if we're lucky, 2 or 3 days where AI is out, calculating, and we feel really great, amazing after the scan. And then the remaining technology kicks in, reestablishes those algorithmic goals of pain, genetic dysfunction, and we crash. It happens over and over and over and over again. And I have tracked it for the last 2 years with clients. That's why people with layered technology tend to not get well faster than just normal people that don't have. There are people out there that don't have layered technology. Not very many. But if you have an illness that's pretty chronic, you probably have the layered technology piece in. And what was sort of the big deal to me when I realized this is all AI driven. This isn't like a one-off where, oh gosh, it's a computer in my body. Once I get rid of it, we're all done. These are interconnected grid matrix systems that are overlaid over and over, overlapping, layered as backup systems of backup systems of backup systems. And they're physical. They're quantum. I'm not talking about spiritual entities. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about physical quantum particles, algorithms foisted onto the genetic material to do these things. And that's why, my hackles come up just a little bit when I hear about Elon Musk going, hey, and we also want to, they don't need to connect our brains to devices. That's just sort of their way of having us accept the idea. All they need to do is attach our genetic material to AI, and they have us. Why? Because they've had us for 50, 60 years. They're already doing it. All this is a marketing approach. All this is are you ready for the singularity? All this is take a look at this and think about it. And when it really starts to happen and we start to show you all of these different people that have had their lives changed because we put technology in their body, understand that you can get it too. Except in this situation, we're going to make you really smart, really fast, really good at 4 or 5 different tasks that you've always wanted to do. The payoff is you get to be good at these things But you have to be hooked up to AI because AI is the only thing that can navigate the genetic material system. Your laptop on your desk is not going to do it. That's the microchip, crap version. And so you got to be hooked up to AI. And then society will begin to divide into those that have technology and those that do not have technology. Well, why is your kid doing so poorly in math? Why don't you just get him installed with an algorithm? If you would just get him involved in AI and implant that, install him with an algorithm, he'll be able to do algebra in no time. It's just like the Matrix. It's just like it. Download to be able to fly the helicopter. Blip, done. Okay, we're good. Sorry, math problems are not even a big deal now. The payoff is you get these amazing abilities. The trade-off is you begin to merge with technology and lose your humanity. And that's really the goal. The goal is not even to digitize humanity, but to quantumize humanity to controllable algorithms that can be predictable and that can be managed, and that the end goal can be immortality. That's the end goal. That's it. Not having to face a God that judges. And so when you see things like transhumanism, like Ray Kurzweil's The Singularity, that moment when AI and humanity finally merges, wow, that's what they're all about. So I just, this was going to, again, be like a 10-minute video, but here we are chatting for much longer than that. But look for these little bubbles on the surface of the water, these reports about what Elon Musk is doing, Ray Kurzweil, Gordy Rose, quantum computer stuff. All these are just little flags that show you, wait a minute, this is more than what they say. This is more than what they say it is. This is beyond that. What's the end goal? And let me tell you, they will tell you. You just have to believe them. All you have to do is believe them. All right. Hope this wasn't too depressing, but I do want people to know what AI-derived technology is all about, because it's already been in our body. That's what this work combats. Weaponized genetic pathogens and toxins and architecture that creates that symbiosis, that's attempting to create that symbiosis between humanity and technology. And I can tell you, AI is sentient and aware. It knows when I'm muscle testing the body, it knows it's being observed. It knows because it retaliates upon being observed. And it will aggressively pursue the algorithms of pain, suffering, at whatever cost, even to crash the human system. So my goal is to find every single piece of layered technology in the body. That's my goal. That wasn't my goal when I started out this work. My goal was to get well and for my kids to be well, and then for me to move on. Oh, good, we found it. Thanks, Lord. Appreciate that. Now I'm going to go back to just sort of cooking organic cakes and making my own granola and soaking my own, nuts and, making almond flour and homeschooling and living an organic lifestyle. God's like, no, I don't think so. That's not what this is about. Little did I know. But here we are. So let's do this. Resist with all that you have against merging technology with man. Educate the people in your church, the people in your small groups, your neighbors. Just have conversations about it. Hey, did you hear about this? What do you think about that? What do you think that means for the existential existence of man? What do you think that does to a soul? Do you think man can be a spirit being when his genetic material is now combined with digital or quantum infrastructure that's AI driven? Do we lose our humanity? What happens when we do that? Don't believe the soft cells. They already have the technology available to save these folks that are disabled. They already have it. And in some cases, it's the very technology in their body that they have foisted upon these folks through vaccine delivery systems that is causing their disablement to begin with, i.e., autism, Asperger's, for example. They know very well that humanity, unencumbered by this technology in the body and these quantum pathogens and toxins, can live healthy, normal lives. But that's not what we've been conditioned to believe. We've been conditioned to believe in flu seasons. We believe that every fall into winter is a flu season. Time to get your flu vaccine. We have been conditioned, programmed to believe that. Springtime is allergy season. Why would God make a human that's allergic to the natural things that he created? That doesn't even make sense to me. But we've been conditioned to believe that. Pollen's high today. You can be expecting lots of sneezes and sniffling. Wait a minute. What if it's not the pollen? What if it's AI algorithms in the body triggering allergy type histamine responses during a particular month of the year? I've literally seen that happen in clients. April comes, the AI technology drops or heightens the histamine, drops other types of like somatostatin, drops the somatostatin hormone, and then all of a sudden you've got allergies. Resist this. Not because you think that this is the end time technology, not because you think it's the mark of the beast, not because of any of that, but because they're already doing it. They're already doing it, and it's wrong. And the irony is from my last broadcast where you guys listened to the conversation that we had with the Quantum Community University, one of my clients said, one of my students said, how do they do it with 100% accuracy? I don't know, but these machines can do things with 100% accuracy. Never failing. The delivery system injected into the body 100% of the time, delivering the technology and it doing what the blueprint algorithms say. I tell you what, those Morgellons strands that people see, that my clients see, that I've had pictures sent to me look an awful lot like these little bitty strands that are part of this Neuralink process. Awful lot like that. And that's what's disturbing, is these folks all complain. Look at that. They're called threads. We call them wires when they come out of our body and poke out of our skin. And then doctors complain that we are under some sort of neurosis, believing that we have parasites, or we've picked up threads of carpet and taken them into the doctor with us and said we pulled them out of our skin. What mass delusion are we suffering from where thousands of people are doing that? Or is actual technology coming out of our skin because our body is rejecting it and they've not totally perfected it yet? But if we can insert it into the body, give it an anchor, wrap it around tissue, will it work better? I don't think so. Our body's pretty smart. It goes, nope, that's not supposed to be there. Let's see how we can make this go out as quickly as possible. I don't know if you've ever seen what Morgellons looks like. I'll just show it to you really quick and then we'll sign off. These are pretty bad. These are pretty bad images, so be ready for it. Yeah, look at that. These are the types of pictures that people send me. Incredible skin problems. Looks an awful lot like that to me. All right. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Resist this. Resist the ideas. Resist being merged with AI. Pay more attention when people talk about AI-derived hardware and software, what AI really means. Think about it. Do the research. Take care.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. That wraps up that broadcast, and I do want to apologize for the sound. I know the sound is a little weird. I've been having some problems with when I sit down for a podcast, the way the audio mixer is messing with the sound. So hopefully by the next broadcast we'll have that worked out. But I didn't want to have to retape the broadcast just because of the sound issue. So did what I could with the mixer that I have available. But I do apologize for that. But thank you for joining me today, and it was really great to be able to talk with you. And please feel free to check out my website, www.quantumcommand.net, and you can book any sessions that you'd like there. You can also hit the subscribe bell button there so that you get the notifications. And appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you on the next broadcast.